5-minute penalty to Chicago, a game misconduct, and then Manson having words with Steven. And now Butcher gets into it. We're going to have a brawl, folks. Stand by.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, AJ. We really appreciate you finding time to talk with the Fourth Line Goon Hockey Podcast. My name is Tyler, here with my co-host Tommy. How you doing?
Good, man.
I'm doing well, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
No, we appreciate you finding time in your busy schedule. I know it's been, as you said, a whirlwind lately with all these podcasts you've been doing. You finally been pushing the jerseys we see on Twitter. That's awesome. Everyone's been stoked to see that. So yeah, how you keeping a level head with all this, bud?
Not to this magnitude, but I've been around stuff like this most of my life. You know, I mean, I was in the spotlight locally very early on, and you know, I learned quickly you got to stay humble with it. And you know, my dad would never let me not be humble, or you know, you take it all in, and everyone's just been, you know, I've been really blessed with how receptive everyone's been to the story. It's been super humbling.
Yeah, and it's a great story. For those of you that are tuning in and you don't know who AJ is, he's president and general manager of the former UHL club, the Danbury Trashers, from 2004 to 2006. Recently, Netflix released a feature documenting this team called Untold: Crime and Penalties. So my first question to kind of kick off this whole interview process, man, is obviously there was a large gap. We're talking about this team 2004 to 2006. There's this huge gap. Then the documentary hits and like all this hype comes. My question to you, AJ, is what took you so long to share your story?
We were approached, I would say, late 2018 about you know, doing this this series with them, you know, one of the stories in this Untold series. And you know, me and my father kind of like we were on the fence with it, to be honest. We weren't really sure if we wanted to do it, but since he's been home, I mean, we haven't really put the story to bed in a way, you know what I mean? You know, the team just kind of, it was here and then the next day it was gone, you know? So it wasn't like we never really had a moment to kind of put the team to bed, you know, put the story to bed. And we said, yeah, you know what, we'll do it. And Netflix came a little over 2 years ago. You know, the producers, the Wade brothers, they did all the filming and stuff. And here we are. So, I mean, we really, to be honest with you, we didn't really have intentions on doing a documentary. It was just an opportunity that came about, and we decided to, you know, pursue it.
Yeah, that's super cool stuff. I mean, like you said, yeah, finally get it out there, put it to bed, and you know, be done with it to a degree. But you know, let's kind of dive into that first season a little bit. You know, it started off a bit slow, obviously. You know, about a quarter way through the season, I think you guys went on like I think a 7-game win streak, kind of pumped your way up to, I think you know, first in the division there in the Eastern Division. I mean, I guess from your perspective, what you remember, I mean, what sort of led to that winning streak? I mean, did you guys do anything differently? Was it you? Did Jimmy? Did anyone kind of come up with anything to kind of, you know, rally the guys at all? Or,
you know, that's a good question. I mean, you know, look, we had a lot of big time players on the team. In a way, we had skilled guys, we had tough guys. But we were an expansion team. So even though we had guys that have been around, I think it took some time for guys, you know, they never played together before, honestly. You know, you had a couple combinations in there where guys might have saw each other throughout the years, but this was the first time this group as a collective group, you know, played together. So I think between, you know, developing chemistry, you know, gelling as a team, you know, even having to coach a team like this, you know, you learn the nuances and things like that. I think it took a little time, and then, you know, we started to catch a little bit of fire there, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, it always takes teams to gel. Even if you have the superstars on the roster, you got the right guys, that you may not have the right locker room. You know, I guess you rallied behind being a new team. There was obviously some controversy with how you were handling things, as you know, as we picked up through that documentary. I feel like your love of the sport resonated with the whole motto of the team, and you played a little hockey yourself growing up, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I basically played, not at high levels, obviously, but I played from like 8, 9 years old, street hockey, and then got on the ice like 10, 11. And I played throughout high school. And then, I had a bad injury my senior year that kind of derailed any post high school plans. But the reality was, I would have maybe tried to walk on a college or something, but I wasn't some like elite prospect or anything like that. You know what I mean? So, my days were numbered, and really I knew it was probably going to peak in high school.
So was there a player growing up, a particular team/player that you looked up to that like kind of was like the model for how you played?
Oh, I mean, the first NHL game I ever went to in 93 or 94 was the New Jersey Devils. Scott Stevens. I mean, Scott Stevens, I modeled how I wanted to play was because of Scott Stevens. I mean, the first game I ever went to, like I said, it was in Jersey, 93 or 94. And we were playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I don't know who he rocked, but from that point on, it was like Scott Stevens was like a god to me, to be honest with you. I mean, he just the way he played, and most kids at that age, they want to be the goal scorer. You know what I mean? Like they want to be the guy with the puck. They want to put it in the net. I just wanted to be like that stay-at-home, hard-nosed defenseman that, I mean, I think I had 1 goal in 4 years in high school, right? So, I mean, I was just my job. I committed myself to keeping the puck out of the net and, being the most you can be in high school, being an enforcer type,
Yeah, we're both Midwest boys. We're originally from St. Louis, and that's
Okay.
such a big mentality with the early '90s. With like, well, pretty much the entire time the Blues have been a team. It's been more of a enforcer mentality. Growing up with Chaser and Tony Twist, and so
Tony Twist, yep.
we appreciate the tough guys. We appreciate the enforcers and that kind of gritty part of the sport.
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. I mean, I know it's different now, but it was such a huge part of the game. You know what I mean? The physicality, it's part of the game. And, I've been talking to so many people over the past few weeks, and I always know when I'm talking with a hockey purist, you know what I mean? And they're kind of like, well, do you regret? And I'm like, no, I don't regret anything that happened, because that was hockey back then. I mean, would that fly in 2021? Absolutely not. I mean, on or off the ice, we wouldn't last a week in 2021, the way we were doing things. So no, I don't have any regrets. Look, back in those days, the 90s, any sport, intimidation played a huge factor in whether you can win or lose. And, football, baseball, basketball, I mean, even basketball in the early mid 90s, you had teams that were intimidators, and that was the mantra we were going to take on. That was the characteristics. Those were the type of players we were looking for. And honestly, I really believe it the end justifies the means. So I really believe it worked.
What's up, everyone? Tyler Cash here from the Fourth Line Goon Hockey Podcast, interrupting this week's episode to talk about one of our amazing sponsors, Schlafly Brewing Company. A staple in the St. Louis community for 30 years now, they have 4 different brew pubs located all over the metropolitan area, including downtown St. Louis, Maplewood, St. Charles, and most recently they opened a location in Highland, Illinois. From stouts and porters to lagers and IPAs, when it comes to delicious and refreshing beers, Schlafly has got you covered. Their Just a Bit Hazy IPA is an easy drinking IPA that will hit stores this February alongside their highly sought after Tasmanian IPA. If you know me, you know I enjoy a good dark beer, and their coffee stout is among some of the best I've ever tasted. If you're looking for something just a bit lighter though, their white lager is crisp and clean, as it's unfiltered and perfect for the domestic beer drinker that would like to transition to drinking more craft beers. You can download the Schlafly app on your phone to help locate and purchase their products all across the country. Be sure and follow them on Facebook and Instagram for constant new updates and information on all of their products. Schlafly beers are delicious and refreshing. Check them out. You won't regret it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, yeah, 90s basketball. I mean, obviously we're a hockey podcast. You know, the Detroit Pistons just completely bust your
Yeah.
ass nonstop. Yeah, that was in my opinion, I think Tyler agrees to the good old days of sports, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as you know, Trashers unfortunately short-lived, only really a couple of years. And obviously, as you know, the way things are going now, especially, it's there's a special place in hockey history for the Trashers, no doubt. But looking back over those 2 seasons and whatnot, I mean, is there anything that truly sticks out to you? I mean, obviously, I know you guys went to the finals there at the end, and unfortunately lost. But I mean, anything that just sticks with you, or cool moment that just you'll remember forever? Or
I would say, that's another good question because right now my mind automatically goes to the moments in the doc, you know what I mean? But there were so many other moments that never made it to the screen, obviously. I would say, I think my father would probably agree with me. Our first year, the first round of the playoffs, we played Adirondack. That was like the Red Sox to our Yankees. Those were bitter rivals. And they had home ice advantage that series. And we won the first game in overtime. Then the second game was like a marathon. We won it late into triple overtime. It was almost going into 4 overtimes.
Wow.
And honestly, I wasn't playing, but you're so mentally invested. It's exhausting. And it was like we won, and it was just like we sucked the air out of that arena. And I had a buddy with me. We were going crazy. We won the game. I mean, the adrenaline, we were up all night. I remember it was me, my father, and my buddy in a hotel room. And it's like 2 a.m. We ordered like Domino's pizza or something, and we just couldn't sleep. We were just so amped up for this win. And that's something I'll never forget. A lot of it because I think my dad was with me, but it was a great moment.
So you landed a couple of big names for the team. It seemed like that was kind of your mentality from the beginning. You had an early mind in the sense that you knew what you wanted to build, and you were building a brand, you were building a team, you were building a roster. As I mentioned, you landed a couple of big names. You had Brent Gretzky, the other one, as people would say. He went on to play 37 games, record 38 points for the organization. Obviously, you had Stanley Cup champion Mike Rupp from the New Jersey Devils, which sounds like the Devils were your team. So that must have been pretty hype, right? That's exciting.
Yeah, that was that because I went to Game 7. I mean, I was there Game 7 in 2003 when we were playing it. Like I'm on the Devils. When the Devils were playing in Anaheim, I always do that. We
do. We all do
it. Yeah. So, Game 7, Devils, Anaheim Ducks. I was there in 2003, and literally Mike Rupp. I'll never forget. He was on a line with Jeff Friesen. Don't even ask me how I remember this. And he deflected a goal that was the eventual cup clinching goal. And it was funny because Rupper was like a rookie basically at the time. They brought him up in the playoffs for depth, and he started going on a bit of a run. So I was like, oh, this Mike Rupp is cool. I like him. Then like a year and a half later, I'm picking him up at the airport, to play in Danbury. It was the most, and it's a funny story about picking him up at the airport. And so basically when we got guys, we had someone who would pick guys up at the, we're about an hour north of New York City. So we would send someone. But when we were getting Mike Rupp, I said to my dad, no, I want to go get him. Like, that's a Devil that I got to pick up Mike Rupp. We were just there like, and you see in the documentary, my camcorder footage of him scoring that goal. So I'm like, I got to pick up Mike Rupp, So I go, I pick him up at Westchester Airport, and it's funny. I'm in street clothes, and you guys saw how I used to dress. So, I wasn't, I wasn't dressed nice. So all of a sudden he comes out, and I see him, and I'm like, hey, Mike Rupp. And he looks at me, and he probably thinks I'm just a fan that noticed him. And he goes, hey, how you doing, buddy? And keeps walking. So I'm like, Mike, I'm your ride. And he's looking at me, and I was talking to him on the phone the other day. We were joking about it because he always talks about that story. because usually when someone picks you up at the airport, it's like a limo guy with the sign with your name and stuff, and I'm over here like, hey, Mike, and he's looking like, hey, buddy, how you doing? And he walked right past me, and I'll never forget the look he gave me. He was so confused, and he's like, "You're AJ?" I said, "Yeah, I'm AJ," and I was like, "You want to see my license? You don't believe me?" He goes, No, that's fine. And we get in the car, and we're driving, and I'm trying to make conversation with him, but this guy is like, he's looking around in the car. He's so bugged out from the whole situation. And once we got to the arena, I think he's like, okay, this is for real. So, but it was so funny. He was just like, he was so confused. And I always joke with him about that story to the day.
Because not only are you the kid, the 17-year-old kid picking him up from the airport, but you're also the guy he's going to be working with and working for. So that,
yeah. So he was, super confused. He was super confused. He was like, just looking at me, and it was funny though. But we ended up, I think, I earned his respect in time, and with most of the guys, and we all got along pretty well.
So other than Rupp and Gretzky, was there any other players that you were in negotiations with, or that you reached out, like fingers crossed, hoping that they would come play for the team? Like any bigger names?
Again, a lot of the hockey purists weren't happy that we were trying to get NHLers, right? But my job is to put the best team on the ice. You know what I mean? I feel bad that there was a lockout, but that's not my problem. You know what I mean? My job was the Trashers. So when we had this pool of players that were potentially available, I'm going to shoot my shot, man, and I went full video game fantasy mode. I tried to get Donald Brashear and Georges Laraque together. And we were this close with Brashear, this close. He ended up going to Quebec because I think he's either from out there, he had family. So, but we were close. And I was talking to Georges Laraque too recently, and he said, God, if I knew this was going to be a documentary, I definitely would have came to Danbury. You know what I mean? And I said, hey, you snooze, you lose, buddy. But I tried to go like just full troll mode, like getting some of these big time enforcers all on one line. And, for all the video game guys out there that would do that on NHL, whatever, I was trying to live the dream for everyone and try to put this little fantasy enforcer lineup together, in real life. And it came close. We had Stephen Pete from the Washington Capitals for a little bit, Rupp, obviously. And then, of course, the biggest regret, we came this close. I don't know why exactly it didn't happen, but we almost got Sean Avery. Now, if Sean Avery came to the Trashers, we probably all would have got arrested on the spot. You know what I mean? So it's probably best that he didn't come, but we were close. We were close with him as well. So, you go after it. Look, the worst they can tell you is no. You know what I mean? So we tried to make it happen. It's funny. All these big time guys now, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, I wish we came to Danbury. I was like, well, too bad, buddy.
No, that's great. I mean, those negotiations, and I'm sure it's a little bit different from some guy who's been a career minor leaguer versus you have NHL caliber guys, all of a sudden available because of a lockout. I mean, what's the difference in like magnitude or contract negotiations with all that stuff, I guess, between the, minor leaguers versus NHL?
Honestly, Thomas, bro, like we treat everyone the same. I mean, everyone who came to us or talked to us, they could probably give you verbatim. We gave everyone the same spiel. You know what I mean? I mean, we didn't try to oversell it. It's like dealing with a girl. You know what I mean? If you overdo it, she's not going to go out with you. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, we kind of said, hey, listen, we're building something cool here. We'd love you to be part of it. We identified you as a fit, and look, it wasn't so cut and dry. You got to schmooze a little, but whether they was in the NHL or they were below the UHL, we try to treat guys the same. And I think they respected that because, hey, you want to play? Great. If you don't, it's no problem. You know what I mean? So I think it was like a reverse psychology thing with some of the guys, especially like the higher level guys, because they're expecting everyone to be down on their knees for them. You know what I'm saying? So we were just like, listen, we think you would fit here. We're building something pretty cool, and we'd like you to be part of it. And and unfortunately, you can't have 100-man roster. So it's tough. There are some decisions you got to make internally. Like, all right, let's not really pursue this one as much. You can only have so many guys.
Outside of that, I mean, I gotta ask. I mean, with Drake, I mean, how'd that go down? Obviously, I heard you actually gave him, your jersey off your back. I mean, is that actually true?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, did you guys have a relationship prior to this at all, or?
No, I mean, listen, I'm not a huge music guy. I don't live under a rock though. I know what's what. And I mean, I obviously know who Drake is. Sure. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I have every one of his albums, but I like them, but I'm not, it's whatever. And the day after the documentary came out, one thing led to another, and I'm in a conversation with the guy. You know what I mean? It's super random, and I'm just like, this is so weird. And all of a sudden we're talking, and he said, "Hey, listen, I'm dropping this album. I want to trash it. That he just wanted a jersey." And the thing is, I was like thinking to myself, like, I don't. Contrary to belief, I don't have like a stockpile of jerseys here. I mean, it's like we haven't played a game in 15 years, so it's like I'm thinking to myself, "Damn, this is like a once in a lifetime thing." And I don't have anything, So then, sometimes in life you could be around something every single day and you forget it's even there. And then I thought to myself, oh, my office, I got the jersey framed on the friggin' wall, right? So I'm just like, okay. I went there, I'm not the most handy guy. I wasn't going to fumble with this frame. So I just broke the frame and I got it out of the frame, and I have a guy I know, and I'm like, listen, you got to drive up to Buffalo tonight. And he's like, Buffalo? I'm like, yeah, you got to go up to Buffalo. And I didn't want to tell him why, because then I knew what was going to happen. And sure enough, he got it out of me why. So then he hit me for some money, of course. So he drove up to Buffalo, and Drake sent, his assistant sent someone to meet him there, and they exchanged the jersey. And honestly, he didn't tell me he was going to post it. He didn't tell me any, I just told him, hey, I'd like it back, and if you could autograph it for me or something, and that Saturday morning, like when his album released or whatever, it was like 2 a.m. My phone started like going off like a Christmas tree, and I was like, what the hell's going on? I thought something happened, and he posted it like 2-3 times. It was unbelievable.
Damn. So you got that jersey back signed by Drake, or is it you're gonna get it eventually? Maybe
it's gonna happen. I told him I told him I'll get you your own set, but I want my shit back. You know what I mean? And I told him he's been traveling after this album. I think he said it was gonna take a month. He's running around, but I'm gonna get it back. Believe me. But I told him, I said, I'll get you your own one. I'll get you a custom one. I said, but I need that one back. That was the first Trasher jersey they ever made.
Oh man, yeah, that's priceless right there.
Listen up, goons. Gotta interrupt the podcast to talk about another one of our amazing sponsors, Shortside Co., a hockey apparel and accessory company. Established in 2020, Shortside is a Minnesota-based company with all 4 owners having a combined 25 years of professional hockey experience. All of their tape is made in the USA, tested and certified by NHL players, including Nate Schmidt. We had him on the podcast, so if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and check it out. He's a beauty. All of their products are created by players, for players. Going shortside is a lifestyle. But why go shortside? Well, scoring goals is their passion. There are many variables that come into play in order to score a goal high on the short side, but it all starts with a perfectly executed tape job. After scoring goals in every league from mites to the NHL, they are confident that their product will be a staple in any locker room. For individuals and organizations looking to join the Shortside community, go to www.goshortside.com.
Yeah, so I was obviously cruising on Hockey DB and trying to find out as much as I could about this team from the 2 seasons. And there's one thing I did pick up: you never named a captain. There was never a captain, to my knowledge, for the Danbury Trashers. I guess it's a 2-part question. Why didn't you name a captain? And looking back now, was there a clear choice of somebody that you wish you would have picked?
It's weird. It wasn't so much my decision. It was kind of like a joint decision by everyone. Kind of like, listen, we're going to put all these guys on an even playing field. We don't want one person. we wanted everyone to feel like they belonged, whether you played one game with us or 82. And they were going to have to police themselves regardless, right? So I've learned in life, sometimes, no matter if you identify someone that could be the quote unquote captain, it's a lot of pressure, and sometimes I think at that level too, I think it could almost be counterproductive, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of, at that level of hockey, it could be very counterproductive to have all that. And that sounds crazy, but for that guy to feel like I got to be the guy. And frankly, that type of team, there's not one individual that's going to be able to control that situation anyway. So it was kind of like, listen, we're going to do this. It's a joint effort. And we rotated the assistants. We did have assistant ones, you know what I mean? But I don't think there was ever like a clear that guy, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a Scott Stevens, right? So there wasn't like that one, Captain C, really.
I'm seeing a lot of similarities with I have to bring this up. I'm out in Vegas right now. I'm a Golden Knights fan. I'm seeing a lot of similarities with the Golden Knights and the Trashers because, you were this expansion team. You kind of come out the gate, you make it to the final, there's some hype behind it. You don't have really a captain, but you're alternating all these assistants. I'm just kind of adding this question in. I mean, did you follow that first year for the Golden Knights? Or are you still like an avid NHL fan?
Well, after 2006, when we lost the team, and it's not like it was the sports fault, I just stopped watching hockey. Right. So up until about, again, it's like a weird situation, but I stopped watching hockey. I just didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to talk about the Trashers, nothing. So, when Netflix started reaching out to me, I don't know what it was. I started like getting this like buzz again with it. So I started, I'm still trying to get back into it, since like mid 2018, 2019 season. I did hear about the Vegas franchise when they went there and, how successful they were. But yeah, I'm just trying to kind of get my bearings with how the sport is, who's who, what's what, you know what I mean? And, but I did, I would hear a lot about that franchise and how successful they've been, but honestly, like a lot of people have been asking me my like Stanley Cup picks this year. I have no idea. I don't know who's good, who's not right now. I just know Devils are in rebuild mode type of thing, but, I'm slowly getting my way back and eventually I'll be able to contribute that way with predictions.
Hey, what's up, everyone? We're interrupting the Fourth Line Goon Hockey Podcast to talk about one of our awesome sponsors. Big Balls Kickball is St. Louis's premier adult kickball league, bringing you the best game in town since 2007. Veteran owned and operated, they strive to bring out the kid in everyone, and they let you let loose and make new friends on that field. Big Balls welcomes players from all walks of life, and they pride themselves on being one of the most inclusive leagues out there. If that's not enough, they also offer Big Balls apparel. That's right, they sell clothing, all that stuff, and it's rad. Me and Tommy have some. We've been rocking them. They go back with the retro designs, back to the 90s, back to your childhood, all of that. So be sure to go and check out Big Balls Kickball at www.stlbigballs.com.
I mean, obviously, if you watch the documentary, you know what happened, kind of. But I mean, obviously, you dealt with the NHL, the Atlanta Thrashers, kind of the likeness, name, and stuff like that. Obviously, your rebuttal to that is absolutely legendary, without a doubt, in terms of playing them for the name. But I mean, kind of tell us about that situation. I mean, how did it kind of go, I guess, behind the scenes in terms of how you dealt with that?
Well, I think it wasn't the Thrashers, it was the NHL that had a hard on from us from the start, and I think it stemmed from when we announced the team, everyone's happy there's a new hockey team and this and that. And the NHL, because of our proximity to New York, they kind of wanted, they couldn't force us to, but they wanted us to become an affiliate of the Islanders, actually. So they wanted the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, which is like half hour from us. That's their AHL team. Yeah. They wanted us to be an affiliate essentially of them. And we politely declined. We're like, nah, we want to do our own thing. We don't, we're not going to sit there and be in a playoff hunt and you guys you guys scoop up 2-3 of our best players because, so I don't think they were too happy with that. I think they had an issue from the start with that. But then, they had the lockout they're getting bad press, and then we're doing our thing and we're getting crazy press, good and bad. And I think they felt like, I don't know, I just felt like they had a hard on for us. And then that summer going into our second year, we get like a legal letter, with the NHL seal and all that, fancy stuff. And, they're essentially saying like, hey, we're cease and desist. We need you to change the name, and like you said, like, I forget what their reasonings were, but that wasn't going to happen, obviously. But, we were thinking about it, me and my dad, and we're like, listen, what are we going to do? Go to court with the NHL? I mean, they print money. I mean, all they got to do is drag this out for months and months and months. They could put a junction on it where we couldn't use the name until it got sorted out in court. So then what are you going to do? We're like 2 months away. What are we supposed to do with, then like if they drag this out, I mean, what are we going to do? Spend $1 million fighting this? You know what I mean? So we just came up with, hey, we'll play you for the friggin' name. And, we said, we'll put on a special exhibition. We'd bring them all, here. Look, we would have lost the game, but if we were going to lose the name, we're going to lose it swinging. Right. So, we would have, our players would have been down with it. They would have fought for it because it meant something to them. That name, that logo, it was like a badge of honor for these guys. So like, if we told them, hey, we're going to war with the Thrashers, they would have been suited up the next day, ready to go. So, I mean, obviously it didn't happen. It's one of those great what ifs. It would have been a funny moment, but I don't think they would have took us up on it.
So what was the conclusion of that? I mean, did you guys fold as an organization before any more legal moves were made?
Nothing happened. I mean, we kind of sent the letter back with what we wanted to do, and we never heard back from them. And we just went about our business that second season. They probably had bigger things to worry about their first season back from the lockout, and it kind of just went away. And it went away ultimately anyway, because after the second year, we lost the team regardless. So it was one of those things where, it was one of those things we ultimately didn't have to deal with.
First of all, watch the documentary multiple times. I love it, man. As a fan of old school hockey, it's a blast. It's a breath of fresh air. I feel like there's not a lot of documentaries that really highlight that. I know a couple years back they did that Ice Guardians documentary also via Netflix, which was a lot of fun. But I truly dug your guys' story. But one thing that I felt like was overlooked was the two brothers, Drew and Mike. I'm going to butcher their last name. How do you say their last name?
Omacholi, yeah.
Omacholi. They did a lot for you guys. And we looked up the stats. Actually, I was sitting on the couch and my girlfriend was like, dude, 48 goals, 39 assists for 87 points in 66 games. That was just Drew, and then you got Mike right behind him with 65 points. And man, they seemed like they were on fire. Two-part question again. How crucial were those guys to your success? And were you a little bit surprised that they didn't go on to do more with their careers, maybe go to the show?
Yeah, I mean, they were, it's funny because the doc kind of paints them as goofballs, which they are, by the way. But, the thing is, they could play. I mean, it's such a, and a lot of people, like, they're not twins. Like, some people thought they were twins. They're not twins. So, but they had like such a feel for each other when they were on ice together. I mean, you always noticed they were on the ice. They just, whether they got a point that shift or not, they made their presence known. I mean, Mike, the little one, who's actually the older brother, he was always chirping and spearing guys and getting in trouble. And Drew was kind of like more of the sniper, and they would go on these tears. It was unbelievable. They always went with each other, and it's not because, obviously some of it because they're brother, but if they didn't play well together, it doesn't matter if you're identical twins, you're going to break up the line, but they just always gelled. It was really strange. And it's funny because the way they bickered in the doc is exactly how they were. They were always arguing with each other, always complaining with each other. And, but yeah, man, I mean, yeah, them, and even, especially the second season, we had a couple really young studs, man. And I don't know, some of them ended up, kind of peaking at the AHL, a handful of games, but you just don't know. I mean, there's hockey's such a big world. There's so many players, sometimes you got to get a little lucky.
Moving on from hockey a little bit, going into it. I mean, now obviously, you're kind of, own and operate your own kind of boxing club right now. I mean, talking a little bit about that, I mean, obviously completely different dynamic than running your own hockey team. But I mean, how do you compare to that? I mean, does it relate at all to the hockey world when you're running a team, or what's your thoughts with that?
Yeah, I mean, when I got into boxing, honestly, it was just like getting into the trash. It was a total fluke type of thing. And, I wasn't a boxing fan growing up. I mean, I didn't watch boxing. I mean, I just got into it. It was a super random story. But, yeah, when I got into it, it was only technically 5 years after the Trashers folded. So, I kind of still had that Trasher mentality still like fresh in my mind. And, you think like you could come into a sport like that and take over, right? Like we're just going to run crazy, right? But it's so different. Hockey, you pay your league dues, they give you a schedule. So all you got to worry about is winning those games on the schedule. Boxing, it's like the wild, wild west. I mean, it's a totally different skill set. You have to know how to politic. You have to develop relationships. That takes years to gain trust with some of these people. Oh, yeah. It's totally different. It's more of a game of chess where Trashers, it was like we were a bowling ball, right? We just throw the ball and we're just crashing, right? Where boxing, if you want to be able to do this sport, it's chess. And took me a few years to really learn that skill because, with the Trashers, we just didn't care. We just did what we wanted to do. And that was that. Where this, totally different ball game.
Yeah, makes sense completely. Yeah, I mean, it's similar in terms of you're trying to knock out your opponent in some cases, but yeah, completely.
Yeah, no, it's funny because it was like the Trasher games were pretty much boxing on ice anyway, so it was kind of like it's kind of similar, I guess.
So, I mean, to wrap up everything, we got a couple of fun questions to wrap up the podcast, but I guess with that last question, just kind of build off of what Tommy was bringing up. Did the boxing, did that quench your thirst, or do you miss hockey? Do you miss being involved in the hockey community at all?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely at the time, and still, I mean, it was such a void in my life when we lost the team, and it was it was only 2 seasons, but it took a lot out of us. I mean, we everything in my life was dedicated to that team, basically. I mean, there was nothing else, and yeah, when we lost it, I mean, 5 years later, this opportunity comes about, and it's like, I wasn't married at the time. I didn't have kids. I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a risk. And it definitely filled the void. Definitely. And even with my gym, Champs Boxing Club, I do a lot of things in there that are very, without even trying, very Trasher-ish, in terms of, team morale, getting guys together. I notice I do things that we were doing, or I watched my dad do with the Trashers, and not even trying. It just seems to happen. But no, I got to tell you, ever since this Netflix and they started filming, I kind of been getting it more into hockey again, and I do miss it. I mean, hockey was a major part of my life. Major. I played it. I was in the trenches with the guys, and I definitely miss it. And I really I appreciate the hockey community. They've always been so supportive, and yeah, definitely.
All right, I got to interrupt the podcast to talk about another one of our amazing sponsors. That's right, Black Heart Inc. is not only a tattoo brand, but a culture in itself. Established since 2021, right here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Black Heart provides the highest in quality and luxury in custom body art. Black Heart Inc. is a tattoo shop like no other around the Las Vegas area. And ever since I moved here, I've been searching around. So trust me, there's some quality work going out of this shop, providing acceptance of all walks of life through the art, the communication of the image that displays or conveys a statement. It can be very powerful. Through art and tattoos, Black Heart Inc. will continue to defy the status quo, not just now, but for years to come. Make sure you check them out at www.blackheartinc702.com. If you mention the Fourth Line Goon Hockey Podcast, you can get $60 Halloween flash tattoos. That's right, $60 gets you a creepy new tattoo this October. They can do same day appointments, local and group discounts. They make sure they honor the military. And if you go in and you mention the Fourth Line Goon Hockey Podcast and that you're a VGK fan, they will do a $100 flash tattoo of a Vegas Golden Knights logo. That's right, $100 flash tattoo of a Vegas Golden Knights logo. I got one myself on my arm. So make sure you guys check it out, www.blackheartinc702.com.
Awesome. So yeah, we appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna rattle off some fun questions to finish off this interview. AJ, it's been awesome, man. Like I said, we're big fans of the documentary. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's on Netflix. I highly recommend you do so. And actually, you talk about this a little bit on the documentary, but I want to solidify your choice. First question I always ask all of our guests: what is the all-time best hockey movie?
I have to say it, Mighty Ducks 2. That was my movie.
Okay, D2. So D2.
Gotta. The street hockey in LA, you gotta go with D2.
Yeah, I'm a big Mighty Ducks fan myself. Actually, I don't know if you can see, like back here, you'll appreciate this. I have an autographed copy of D2.
Oh, wow, there it is. Yeah.
Signed by Fulton Reed. So, well, Eldon Henson.
Oh, that was the guy. Number 44. That was the guy. Yeah.
Yep. I had him made out the Spazway. So I knew you would appreciate that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mighty Ducks, but we get a lot of slap shot as a big answer across the board, which, respect, but Mighty Ducks is a big influence for me growing up.
That's what got me into hockey was Mighty Ducks 1, but I didn't watch. I mean, hockey wasn't a thing here where I grew up. We didn't even have an ice arena back then. So we saw the movie. I mean, my mom, I remember it was a rainy weekend. She's like, let's just get out of the house. We went to the movie theater on North Street, and I didn't know what I was going to watch. We just went into Mighty Ducks, and I don't know, something about that flying V, bro. That was something happened to me then. I don't know what happened.
No doubt. Yeah. And the Bash Brothers. It's just, yeah.
Oh, Fulton Reed, Portman. Yeah. Those are my guys. Yeah.
Dean Portman was like 45 years old when they were filming that second movie.
Yeah, I know.
Clearly way too old.
As I get older and I watch some movies, I'm like, wow, they try to pass this kid off as like a student. That's funny.
Yeah. He wasn't even in the second one. They weren't even in high school. They were in middle school. So like the third movie, they get an invite to a private high school, which I'm pretty sure is actually illegal. I don't think you can convince kids to come play hockey for a private high school, but hey.
Yeah.
So yeah, one last question for you, man. All-time favorite enforcer. You mentioned Scott Stevens, so let's go ahead and remove that. So next.
Yeah, no, and I don't even know if you call Scott Stevens an enforcer, because he was more of he fought a little, but I would say, oh man. Oh shit. I would say all right, bear with me. There's a process. So most people think it's a heavyweight, right? Like a big heavyweight guy. I always like the little guys. I like the middleweight guys. You know what I mean? Rob Ray almost. I don't. Man, I'm gonna have to tweet you guys or something. I'm gonna have to really think about that. That's a tough question. And I like obscure guys that people don't automatically think of.
Yeah.
Like Aaron Asham, right? So Aaron Asham, when he used to play for the Islanders, that was a tough bastard, man. I mean, those middleweights, those were my guys. I always gravitated to the smaller ones.
Yeah, I feel like Ty Domi was a good one too. He's kind of a smaller guy. Or you mentioned Sean Avery, little instigator.
I would have thought.
Listen,
fan Mike Peluso.
Oh, Mike Peluso. Yeah, the crash line that Mike Peluso, Randy McKay, what was it, Bobby Holik even too? But no, Mike Peluso was tough. Yeah. The Devils, they never had that guy, right? You know what I mean? They never had that one guy for like 10 years stretch that was just the guy. You know what I mean? The Devils always had like those role player enforcers. Like they always had guys that, even like Ken Danico wasn't a huge fighter, but he would if he had to type thing. So I don't know. The Devils never had like that marquee, like, for instance, I know he played on other teams, but like for me, when I think of the Flyers, I think of like Donald Brashear when he was, they never had that one guy.
Well, what about actually a former guest of the show, Cam Jansen? Cam Jansen played for the Devils for a little bit.
You know what?
Tough guy.
I hope Cam's not listening because I did his show last week. That's my guy. Yeah. Cam Jansen actually played a part in me getting back into hockey because a few years back, my friend, my good buddy Steve was like, come on, let's watch a Devils game. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch hockey. And we watched, and I think Cam, his first time I watched him, he was out there running around crazy. He fought, who the hell did he fight? He fought a kid on Ottawa, and it was like it felt like a 30-minute fight. You know what I mean? It was like it was like a half hour long.
I've seen that. I think it might have
and
the
I was
record.
just like, this guy, I was like, is it McGrattan? Was it McGrattan he fought? He fought somebody. And I was just like, he's waving a refs off.
Sure
it was like, I swear to God, it was legitimate. It was like, it felt like it was an hour-long boxing match. You know what I mean? I was just like, this guy's crazy. So, yeah, Cam, you know what? I got to stick Cam Jansen up there. That's my answer.
That's a great answer. Well, AJ, dude, it's been great talking hockey with you. We appreciate it. I know you and I have been chatting for a minute to try to make this happen, so we really appreciate it. Best of luck. I know you just announced the sweaters. I need to get my hands on one, so we'll make sure that we share all the information for that.
Definitely, guys. I appreciate it. And, like I said, we're coming out with some new model, custom, you can make some custom jerseys soon. We're working on, I never thought I'd be doing all this stuff again, but we're slowly getting all these things together, merchandise and stuff. So, hopefully we'll be throwing some more things up there in like a week or so.
Hell yeah. And we'll make sure we share. Make sure you guys be aware of the bootleggers. I've been seeing that. All the hype shows up and then everybody just kind of comes out of the woodwork, right?
It's unbelievable. They were selling a jersey today. Someone said a jersey that listen, you can't knock the hustle. Good for them if they could get it. They were selling something for like $3,000. It was it doesn't even look like the logo. You know what I mean? So you know what? You can't knock the hustle. Good. God bless them. If they rope someone in, they deserve it, I guess.
I saw some authentic ones on eBay going for like $25,000. I was like, holy shit.
That's insane.
Hey,
I really hope someone's not that stupid, but you just don't know.
But it's got to be humbling, right? You're making you're making splashes in the hockey world. It's awesome, especially when it comes to the enforcer aggression. When it comes to hockey, it's exactly what Fourth Line Goon loves to talk about. So appreciate you, AJ, and we'll be sharing those the links to the jerseys, and looking forward to talking more hockey with you, bud.
Definitely, guys. Thank you again for the opportunity, and anytime, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care, buddy.
All right, fellas. Thanks again.
Later.